Well, hello everybody. Breaking news busted. 100% CBC. Fake news story. It's on world stage. Completely fake news about the hog and the ICJ authority. I'm going to tell everybody. 100%. I posted a post. I've added that post right now to absolutely this title. It's in there. You can click on the link. You can read the history of the ICJ with Canada. Canada removed the ICJ May 10th, 1994. That is our last action and current letter, address, signed, sealed, certified of Canada with the ICJ, International Court of Justice. We don't recognize the compulsory nature of the ICJ. Why is that, Canadians? You'll look in Canada's letter, the official status of the ICJ, 1985 to 1994. Hello, Canadians. The Conservatives and Liberals are liars. Pierre Poilievre, Justin Trudeau, and their paid media. Liars. Jagmeet Singh, liar. Liar. Our criminal code rewrote by Brian Mulroney in 1985. Why was that, folks? Because South Africa was destroyed, that had the same constitutional build as Canada does today. We're even older than the original South Africa colonial build. Another Nazi Germany. You all saw apartheid? Removed from this earth all the political parties for being 100% absolute liars. If you've never read Bound in the International Court of Justice, Canada's Registry, 1994, May 10th. Anyone can look this up. Canada removed itself from the ICJ officially in 1994, again, May 10th. That is the only registered letter for Canada left with the ICJ, that we do not recognize their compulsory nature, and no Commonwealth country, according to Canada and Canada's governments of both Liberal and Conservative. Jointly done. You're going to run down Russia for blowing off the ICJ? Canada quit the ICJ. Further, everybody, Ukraine did not adopt any, I repeat, any binding world laws in human rights. They are what Russia says they are. And if Joe Biden was an honest president, he would tell the truth. But he doesn't, because his son, a drug addict, a known drug addict who now runs energy in Ukraine, multi-millionaire, who has no education, no background, no experience, none whatsoever, but in the mass corruption money, Joe Biden's son gets paid for that position. Joe Biden will lie, cheat, and steal for his son, using the full power of his executive power, contrary to the Constitution of the United States of America. That's Canada's registry. You can't make this up. It's been in place since 1994. Rewriting our criminal code to make decolonization illegal so that the fate of South Africa could never befall Canada. That's what it's for, you guys. Conservatives and Liberals want to murder, genocide all the first people of Canada forever and a day, and do not want any justice, none whatsoever. They were willing to remove you from the International Court of Justice. We are removed entirely. We can do anything we want in the Commonwealth, even during the pandemic, have unbelievable amounts of unvaccinated, which is what they did. This isn't a slam for everybody else. It's reality of what Canada did. World ruled pandemic, and they had the highest immigration levels within the Commonwealth. As much colonialism as they could get. at all cost of all Canadian life. How many old people in old folks' home died because of the unvaccinated immigrants, according to what Canada says? Says one speak out of one side of their face, does a complete other out of the other side. A massive amount of hypocrisy. Canada will get their ass handed to them by Russia. USA is not going to war. NATO already backed down on the no-fly zone. They don't want to declare World War III. The ICJ was sloughed off by Russia because it's their right to do so. Russia's a P5 member. They can't be bound to anything with the ICJ. Russia doesn't quit. They're just keeping track of everything that's being done, and they're logging it. They're logging it for the entire world to show all of you the truth, that nothing that's being said and done by the West is remotely truthful, none whatsoever. I'm going to say this again. The Declaration of Human Rights, not signed by Ukraine, never, for the entirety, the many decades of its nation status. It pays its UN Charter bills. It relies on Democrat corruption, specifically Joe Biden's family. That's truthful. UK is in the Commonwealth, leader of the Commonwealth. Read the Commonwealth Charter 2012. Read the New Atlantic Charter 2021. You're watching the NWO, the rise of the British Empire. Who in history is responsible? European colonials responsible for the devastation and destruction around the world. Never involved in wars? Are you kidding me? How ignorant, how absolutely insane is it that Justin Trudeau, Pierre Poilievre, and Jagmeet Singh go along with this farce? Full-blown lies, paid media, and all the people of Canada falling for it. Did you know when you go sign up to fight in Ukraine, you get sent to a hack site? Did you know that you can't join the war against Russia? You'll be deemed and registered as an international war criminal. That's what's going to happen to you Canadians who go fight for Ukraine. You're in violation of international law. The government of Canada is way out to lunch. All political parties way over the realm of reality. And many Canadians are going to pay the piper for it. People talking about Omar Khadr. Oh, it wasn't like that. USA is an ally of World War II. One of 5. When you bomb, murder American soldiers in any name of anything in places like Egypt, who was an Axis power, in the name of whatever you want to say, you are an Axis power. Canada is becoming an Axis power. Joe Biden wants to turn America into an Axis power. They want to rebuild the same system as Nazi Germany, a colonial system. Nazification is a bad word Russians use, but they don't understand the crown, not quite yet. USA doesn't understand the crown, not quite yet. It's been too far removed from those nations. India understands the crown. Many academic institutions, in fact, the highest academic institutions in the entire world, understand the crown. Oxford understands the crown. In fact, great academics, world-class, published, highly respected, have already released all of this for all of you. UK's been forced to release the records which I've shared to all of you for the first time in Canadian history. Can't make this shit up. Can't make it up. And yet we go forward with our media, CBC lying to every Canadian. We have quit the ICJ. Read the document. It's on the ICJ. All you have to do is type in International Court of Justice, and Canada's status. And guess what comes up? The ICJ tells you Canada removed itself in 1994. In fact, they rewrote their whole criminal code to make their own International Commission of Jurists. A fake ICJ, sponsored by the UK and the entire Commonwealth. It's sick. It's depraved. It's 110% a lie. This is the Ukraine that Joe Biden's America and absolutely Justin Trudeau, Pierre Poilievre, Jagmeet Singh, Bloc Québécois, People's Party of Canada, Green Party, Communist, it goes on and on and on. Absolutely all crown colonial parties propagate this propaganda and love lying to all of you at home. Ukraine is going to get what it deserves because it didn't want to recognize and follow international law. They have not signed any human rights binding laws, Geneva, Vienna, or any of it. None whatsoever. You don't get to claim any of these things or utilize any courts in any fashion, none whatsoever, when you can't bind international law in your country. You are a garbage state. The best thing for Ukrainians right now is Russia, at least for one half of the country. You can't go to war for Ukraine. These dual citizens that want to go, fine, go, but they've already made all kinds of changes. Oh, you have to have military service experience, you have to have this, you have to have that, making it impossible because it's a crime. It's a crime to go fight in a foreign war in the world today. The Canadian politicians will be under the gun for this. So it's an act. It's a show. Zelensky and his selfies running around in military garb, his Facebook posts, his, oh, reach out, his hog, oh. It's not binding on Russia. In fact, it wouldn't even be binding on Canada. ICJ is voluntary if a nation wishes to participate. This has always been forever and a day. If you want to deal with genocide, you go to the International Criminal Court. Or without any court, none whatsoever, because I promise you the judge, jury, and executioners, Canadians, listen and listen good. Any one of the P5 can sentence anyone in the world to death who violates any human rights binding world laws arbitrarily. They don't even need a court. You can look it up. They have all handed out the death sentence. The last president to hand it out was Donald Trump, individually. But one Joe Biden bombed and killed many just months ago. Many. He ordered it. He ordered the execution. Doesn't matter how many fatalities, innocents were involved. Doesn't matter. That is the power of every one of the P5 members. China, UK, France, USA, and absolutely Russia. ICJ will never be bound on Russia. Russia, at least, allows it to go forward. Didn't remove themselves, didn't recuse themselves, chose not to participate, which is the right of every UN state and absolutely the right of the P5. Any one of those can do anything they want, even hand out the death sentence. Like I just said, this isn't myth, it's not fact, or it's not fiction, it's real hardcore fact. Your country, Canada, your Liberals, your Conservatives, backed by Bloc, backed by NDP, backed by Green, backed by PPC, all of them, every elected politician in those years, all those parties and all of their leaders when they were in the real party, backed it up entirely. And still to this day, as they pay CBC to tell a bold, face lie to every Canadian. Talk about the worst myth bust I've ever done is this one today. And CBC is paid to write this story to trick every one of you at home. Hate Russia, blame Russia. Russia's responsible for all the carnage. It's a lie, folks. It's always going to be a lie. I'm sorry Ukrainians don't understand this. Ex-Soviets don't know the crown. They don't. Just as Russia doesn't have a good handle on it, neither does USA, which is empowering people like Boris Johnson to go further than ever before, bringing an illegal system back into the world mainstream. It's terrifying. Every day I pray for the end of Joe Biden. When will midterms come? When will he lose his House and Senate? When will he be impeached? When will he be removed from power? Get him out of office. It's a travesty of where the United States has gone just in the last decade and a half. Almost two. It's sad. It's sad, folks. Criminal. The worst kind of international criminals is going on. An NWO, New World Order. And it's right in our faces. Absolute lies by media. CBC is disgusting. That story should be pulled. And what should be in its place is the fact that Canada quit the ICJ because Canada is a gross human rights violator, the worst in the world, longest running committers of genocide. They quit the ICJ. Officially. That's a real letter all of you can read on ICJ. Just type it. And not International Commission of Jurists, not International Court of Justice Canada. We're talking about the International Court of Justice on the UN.org website, devoted entirely from the Charter of the UN. There you will find the truth of what Canada really is, what Canada did in 1994, because heaven forbid we ever bring Canadian politicians to justice, because the amount of death sentences in court cases in ICC, International Criminal Court, would be staggering. We can't free the First Peoples. No, no, no. Those savages must die. They must die, and Canada must continue full-scale colonialism in the face of everything, and Canadians can go to bed at night happy, happy little slaves, owning less and less, becoming more and more devalued, going into poverty, because it's important to keep the crown strong. It's important that your politicians have all the power, all the money, and rape you all blind. Unbelievable just how bad Canada is today. If you don't share this, there's something wrong with you. This video is an absolute myth bust of everything that Canada is and the gross lie that is Ukraine today. Zelensky is a piece of shit. He could have settled all this with not an ounce of bloodshed, but he didn't want to, because his Commonwealth buddies, his dirty Joe Biden, and that real piece of work Boris Johnson, who has shown his true colors, he will be out of office. You watch next election. I promise you, everyone who was close to Boris, all of those high minds, several of them are gone. Key people who've been with him forever are gone, walked away. Because like myself, how could you participate in such a monumentous lie? A lie on scales not seen since Nazi Germany and the colonial powers pre-World War II. It's League of Nations horrific shit here, folks. Pathetic, disgusting, unbelievable. Share this because it's the right thing to do. Don't fall for the propaganda. Canada is now full-blown lying to you. The history, the truth, the letter from Canada reigns supreme in the ICJ. Canada has removed itself entirely. And you're going to try and say that Russia must be bound to a voluntary court, that Canada quit? Canada's going to tell Canadians to go to war in a country who has zero international laws bound on any and all human rights, from the Declaration of Human Rights to binding Geneva Conventions. Absolutely all forms of genocide, Ukraine refuses to sign. And why? Because in the coming years, when Russia gets Ukraine divided, you're going to see all the bodies discovered by ground-penetrating radar. And First Peoples, pay attention here, because this involves you. Russia is doing all the work I did since Alberta independence and all the work I'm doing in the real court, the International Criminal Court, in the real stage, with the bosses of which, the UNSCP5, all of them. And I'm going to deliver with the chiefs, whether they want to participate or not. If we can just get a few to continue it going, we will win the day. The little people, the First Peoples, will land a mighty blow. And if you stay the course, Russia's going to prove to the world, as a UNSCP5 member, Ukraine is guilty of everything they've accused them of. You're going to find the ground-penetrating radar, and you're going to find Russian men, women, and children, which the women and children falls in absolute territory of binding, gross genocide that will cost many their lives. Many that you're all clapping for and cheering on today. Mark my words. First Peoples, you're not alone. Don't lose heart. And Canadian Joe Jane's not sworn to the crown, not falling for the propaganda. It takes courage to come forward with these videos and do the work we're doing. It's fear. It's scary. It's all there. I know just how bad this can get. I know. But you do it in the face of adversity. You get the job done, because Russia's going to do the same job, and you're all going to see that. And then what does the world say? Who is the most prolific genocide creator in the world history? Well, Axis powers of World War II. You're going to see absolutely what UK has done in its history, seen again in Ukraine. Seen again in Ukraine. You're going to see that whole half when Russia gets that isolated and they begin their process following the footsteps of the First Peoples here in Canada. You're going to learn the truth. The truth always prevails, whether we like it or not, or the heroes that we're told to follow are not the heroes at all, but actually the evil. Nobody likes truth because it doesn't fit their narrative. Europe has been a horrific proliferator of the worst atrocities known to mankind. You want to talk about genocide? How about wiping out all of South America? How about the hundreds and hundreds of years of slave trade of the Africans, the murder, rape, and genocide? Pain still seen around the world today. Where did all that come from? Oh yeah, Europe. But we're not going to talk about any of that, right, folks? That doesn't suit the narrative. It doesn't suit the propaganda by your elected, corrupt, filthy, dirty, genocidal maniac politicians. Wake up, folks. I couldn't make this up if my life depended on it. And that may be coming. That may be coming too. That's my video. Share, share, share. You want real justice in this world, real truth? You share the video. Thanks. Enjoy the rest of your day.